Tyrant-Den, another new location. Probably the only day I'm filming here in the the foreseeable future. Uh, I'm just about finished eating an entire thing of ice cream in one sitting because I'm not looking for love right now. I'm just looking to make it to next month. And well, let's look at the evolution of Donald Duck costume
By
in
Squarespace.
Disneyland.
The Donald Duck meet and greet. He's a staple of any Disney park vacation.
Little loud.
Sure, you're gonna go meet Mickey Mouse, but you're gonna have a lot more fun meeting a short-tempered feathered friend.
That's true. I don't understand the love of main characters at all. Remember when I was younger, I kind of got it because they seemed cool. But the older you get, you're like, oh, I like the more interesting characters. I don't understand anyone who goes into One Piece and is like, oh, Luffy's my favorite. Zolo makes sense, but you go a little further back, even you're gonna get better characters. I still like Captain Claw. Same thing for freaking Dragon Ball Z. I don't get Goku love at all. Goku is kind of boring. Even Vegeta's kind of boring these days. Give me Trunks any day. Like, at least Krillin's got an interesting moveset. It was double for TN. But anyway, we're talking about Donald Duck.
So you know what time it is? It's time to put on your Charles Darwin
Oh, incidentally, Goofy. I think I would preferred Goofy at the time.
toe socks, cause it's time for another
Charles Darwin
Tyrant-Den
toe
costume
socks.
evolution. Cause
Which one's that?
toes, like, phalanges, Charles Darwin evolution, Disney Dan costume evolution.
I don't get it.
It's
I
time to
kinda
find
get
out
it,
how this
but-
duck really evolved. Plus, don't forget to check out our crazy adventures and behind-the-scenes fun
Okay, so the socks evolved over time, I think you said.
over on our vlog, Please Stop Vlogging. There's a big video coming out next month, and you're gonna want to see everything behind the scenes about it. Trust me. What's going on?
Okay, this is remastered, so I don't even know. Is that something he added, or did he just not remove an old ad for a vlog? I don't know.
Donald Duck fans, it's Dan here.
I didn't
back
see the
with another
original.
Costume Evolution. In fact, this is a remaster of Donald Fauntleroy Duck's Evolution. Same great duck, all new ducky flavor. Donald Duck's first theatrical appearance was in the 1934 animated short, The Wise Little Hen. But it wasn't until his second appearance in the Orphans Benefit.
Okay, now I'm all confused. Was it colored at the time, or did they go back and color that one, but they didn't color the Orphans Benefit? Because, like, I've seen the old black and white ones he was in. Because, when you go to Disneyland, they got that little area where they got all the old-fashioned ones all playing at once. Not confusing at all. None of them are in color.
Where we saw the sailor's true color, a short, fused rage monster. Seriously, he literally pulls a brick out from behind his back at the end of the short, implying that he was about to beat infants with it. That's unhinged.
Yeah, that's
Donald Duck would
correct
go on to
reaction.
star in way more
That's
animated
hilarious.
features than any other Disney character, literally becoming a hero during World War II. We love Donald.
I mean, I know a big part of it is because, like, he had, like, the Dutch comics, which just became huge. And still are huge. Like, he's, like, apparently, like, the most long-going, best-selling comic book character of all time. And that's part of where we get the DuckTales from, even though those are about the nephews, which I've said it before on my channel that, of the recent renaissance we've had, the Disney XD renaissance, I guess you can call it, the Disney Channel renaissance we've been having that began with, this sort of Hirsch era that we had that began with Gravity Falls and kind of just ended recently. I mean, we still have stuff, so I don't really consider it to be over. We'll see how Haley's on it does. That kind of ended there. Of the era that contained Amphibia, Gravity Falls, Star vs. Force of Evil, my favorite was the DuckTales reboot. And not just because I'm a Bobby Moynihan stan.
We still do love Donald Duck. In fact, he's my third most watched costume evolution ever. But that video is 5 years
No wonder
old.
he's remastering
so it's time
this.
to dip back into the duck pond and see what kind of new great stuff I've unearthed. Our first look at a costumed Donald Duck character came in 1937 at the red carpet premiere of Snow White. This costume was baggy and clumsy and had gigantic buttons, this huge bow, a really tiny hat. It essentially looked like a plush Donald Duck, like exploded to human size.
Used to be yellow.
Despite the odd accessories,
not okay with
I
that.
love the face sculpt of this costume. Look at that big, distinct beak and those huge eyes. I would argue that they captured the look.
Definitely better than Mickey and Minnie there. That's horrifying. What's with the chest? Are they two minis? Just only one of them has the hat? It looks like they have a bra on. I don't know. That's horrifying. Those two are horrifying. This guy's coming out like an actual freaking duck. These two look like they're here to commit a murder. Like, not just a murder, like they're gonna take people hostage, burn down buildings, and read papers.
Look of Donald Duck better than the other two Mickey and Minnie monstrosities he's seen
horrible.
With these photos.
No. Stop making me look at them.
The legs are so wrinkly and thick. Why?
I was looking at those legs when they could look at those
legs. Why are his legs so thick? You're Donald Duck. You're not supposed to look like you're wearing pants at all. Donald Duck gets out of the shower every morning and puts a towel
we got some nudity on here.
Not. Why aren't we talking
I don't know if
about
I'm going to be okay showing this.
That's what we call it in our house when you wander around without any pants on, Donald Ducking.
It's a common expression.
Starting in the late 1940s...
Those two are still horrifying. Oh, God. And he's still sane. He's looking down and going, what the fuck are my bosses? No, that's not good either. Why is it just these two? I'm not even that bad with the Dumbo there. The chipmunks are all great. The pigs are working. Even with that diver and everything. I mean, okay, the Dumbo's eyes are freaky, but that's horrifying. But that's just me. I'm still made deeply uncomfortable by Mad Magazine. But that's just why can't they make that work? Why can they make a duck work, but they can't make those two work?
Disney licensed their characters to the Ice Capades for various numbers, including Donald Duck for multiple shows. His first appearance was in the 1950 segment of the Ice Follies titled Walt Disney's Toy Shop. There's tons of pictures of this, including some good color photos. The whole gang
Add an
is
angle.
there.
Add an angle. That's better. He's way better in this shot that's all blurry.
The skaters saw through the neck of this costume, and their head was wrapped tight in white fabric. You can literally see the performer's big old stubby head in the neck of this duck costume. It's wild. But hey, vintage Donald Duck, least you forget, had a really long, weird neck. Remember?
Okay, this is interesting already, because the bill on this Donald Duck is way thinner than the costume. The costume looks way more like the modern Donald Duck, which suggests that maybe our modern Donald Duck is more based on the costume than it was on the original animated design.
Original Donald? He was weird looking, man.
Armchair theory
having
there.
The performer's face in the neck honestly made sense. This Ice Follies, Ice Capades Donald Duck is beautiful. The head sculpt really, really nails it. The gigantic beak is near perfect. His eyes have a really good focus, considering that it's like on the top of someone's head. He's looking down and centered. I honestly love this Donald Duck. Now,
it's miles above literally everything else.
When he's out on the ice, it does look like a guy's just wearing a giant baseball hat. I mean, like, from a distance. It just looks like a giant baseball helmet. But that's cool. That's cool. Because what's awesome about these baseball helmets, and something I had no idea about these original Ice Capades costumes, were they were articulated. They could talk. Look at Donald.
Dang.
He's talking.
Nice.
The opening of Disneyland in 1955 saw all kinds of interesting characters wander the streets of Disneyland, including an entire host of costumes originally made for the ice, now featured on the asphalt. You guys know the story. Walt didn't plan ahead, needed costumes last minute, and called up the Ice Capades to get all of those licensed characters into his park for opening day. And while some of these costumes worked great on the ice, they were not great.
You know, the ice, where it's kind of dark, you're moving really fast, and nobody has a perfect view of you.
No, shaking their hands on the curb. These things were not meant for intimate meet and greets. There's that infamous color photo of all the time performers.
I take back what I said about him being the normal looking one. Oh, and that's traumatizing. I am more okay with it when with these early costumes. But like, I'm sorry, I don't. I like the fantasy that they are the character. I don't like seeing being ruined. I'm gonna if cutting them a break with these costumes in this era, but and okay. But apart from that, I'm sorry. That's just hilarious.
Post parade with that with that poor I would assume tiny woman dressed as Donald Duck, just standing there frozen in time, stoically miserable, tired.
Yeah, the actor themselves in there, they get nothing but claps.
It's an incredible photo. It's one of my favorite photos of all Disneyland history.
That's fair.
I love it so much. This costume was designed to be viewed from like arena stadium seating, where people are looking down at it. Now that people are looking up at it, they're just staring at an out-of-breath performer breathing through the white fabric of Donald's neck. Huffing and puffing.
Obviously, again, we get all respect to anyone wearing these costumes then and now and in the future.
Disney Park Donald Duck. Throughout the 1950s and 60s, Donald was surprisingly absent in a variety of shows throughout Disneyland. We combed through a lot of vintage footage, only to discover Goofy, Pluto, Mickey, and almost every other character, but no Donald. Well, that's because a lot of his appearances occurred during the Fantasy on Parade, where he was this kind of go-kart mini float. It was this completely hard-shelled mold Donald stuck to this makeshift Mr. Toad's Wild Ride car with Huey, Dewey, and Louie along for the ride. This is a wild parade float, and there's a man inside there. There's like a human man in there, sweating. But the costume did.
The human man and the absolutely solid one. It's what's the name? There was a famous chess playing robot way back when, at a time when robots were so pretty new and computers were pretty much unheard of, that could beat anyone at chess. Turned out it was just. They just got like a really good chess player to get in like a fake body and move it like a robot.
He was a walk-around character sometime in the late 1960s. The costume had a much fuller body with a potato sack duck butt. Like they could not figure out this duck's butt costume-wise for decades. But it had nice padding, like in a wider bottom, and big, wide plastic shoes. I actually kind of like the feet on this Donald. It's creative. It's way better than the fabric flaps they have.
Definitely that, and to the point where like these are distractingly just shoes to me. And maybe they're actually larger than normal. Something, but like to me it looks like the guy came in, put on the goofy mask, the goofy shirt, the goofy gloves, the goofy vest, and then just wore his regular the shoes he was wearing to work that day.
Had for the ice capades. It's nice to see a molded duck foot. I wish I could, like, why don't they sell these? Give me character shoe stores in the parks. I would definitely wear Donald feet around. Sure, I'd break my neck, but I'd look cool doing it. And throughout the 1960s and 70s, this costume was featured in the Disney On Parade show, a traveling arena spectacular which featured a variety of characters that kids could meet up close. It was kind of like Disney on Ice, but without the ice. They even had this alternative head design with a much more thicker and flexible bill that would bounce up and down, giving Donald some form of articulation. And at one point, Donald was even partially eaten by Herbie the Love Bug. Here's a fun fact. Herbie had teeth. You don't see that in any Euro Transformers movie.
How does Vor keep getting in my reactions?
Optimus Prime with dentures. These eyes on this costume are chaotic. They range between having thin black outlines to incredibly thick black outlines. The lenses were routinely changed, and his eye focus goes all over the place. This is one chaotic Donald costume. They were really trying to figure it out. This was their first attempt at it, and things were weird at first. The standout for this version of Donald can be seen in his lack of buttons. His jacket doesn't have any buttons. It has the signature bow. It has that white outline on the sleeves and the collar. It looks like a sailor's outfit, but it's missing the Donald.
Not crazy about that Mickey either. That one just looks too much like a dude with a Mickey helmet on. See, at least the Goofy guy's getting there because he's got that extra bit of like Goofy movement to him. You know, which helps you sell the character through pantomime. Whereas, you know, the Mickey, he's standing like a guy. That's a guy.
Buttons. And in fact, this is a good way to track Donald costumes because the buttons vary from decade to decade. Donald got a complete redesign in the late 1970s with a whole new body and sailor uniform.
You know, Mealy better there because he's got some junk in the trunk now too. That was important to me apparently. Mickey's got to have junk in the trunk.
Reuse the same mold for the head and bill. This is a good time to actually talk about the visibility of the performer inside of this costume. Because sure, they can see out of the eyes depending on the placement and how they're positioned, but where the performer got a lot of their viewpoints is actually inside the duck beak of Donald. There's this little vision hole inside the mouth that allowed the performer to look down at the children.
That's actually
this
quite
otherwise
gross.
Massive, like, visual barrier
need that in the shade
that is
there.
a Donald Duck beak. The pupils, the black part in the middle of the eye, kind of operate like sunglasses, where it's like a polished black material on the outside that you really can't see through, but for the people inside the head, they can see out and have a ton of visibility. The belly of Donald now is much rounder. He's a much rounder, more welcoming duck. And now his sailor uniform has 4 big white buttons on it, and it's a shinier material. This is a fun duck. This is a vibey 70s duck. He's having a great time. In fact, we love this Donald Duck mold and design so much, we kept him in the park for decades. This Donald stuck around until the mid-90s. That's how much use we got out of this beautiful Donald design. I love how they tweaked the head to really nail the look. The eyes, the aligning around the eyes, the beak, the plush of the fur, everything was really perfect with this Donald, and he stuck around and was used for decades. Until we got the 1995 cartoon Donald Duck
Music
costume.
makes you sound nervous.
This was an entire remodel of the costume that took it in a completely different direction than we previously
I don't like it,
saw
but I don't
Donald,
know why
or
either.
for
The
that
eyes
matter,
are
really
better.
any character in the parks. This is
better.
truly one of the
about
Fab Five trying to be visualized as a cartoon character. His eyes have become bright blue. His entire color palette has been shifted up into this like almost powdered baby blue look. It's crazy. They even did it to Daisy Duck. They gave her blue eyes and crazy pastel outfits too. This was such a choice, and no one liked it, and it did not last in the parks very long. The costume just got smaller.
It's like don't make my Donald Duck too cute. I get that he's the costume character, he's the mascot character, he's there to make the kids feel more comfortable. But it's Donald Duck. We love him because he's got an attitude. You know, and it's not the classic Goofy, because Goofy used to have an attitude too. He was the blue collar guy. You know, he used to be able to I can get angry now, Goofy. I know that's the fun. Even the mascot thing make the actors sweat the heck out, but we want them to get all angry and jumping around at the littlest things. That's delightful.
It got weird. The head got smaller, the body got smaller, and things changed to the eyes, not just in the color, but now he has furry eyelids, which was kind of an interesting choice. You know what this Donald Duck costume looks like weirdly? It looks like...
I'm sorry, I really like this expression here. Just that kind of sassy look he's giving us. I dig that.
The Howard the Duck costume. Not the Guardians.
Ooh, I see
Howard.
that.
I'm talking about the weird 80s Howard the Duck. That chaos duck that wandered around for a minute. This is giving me all of that energy. I don't know. I really don't like this Donald Duck very much at all. It's too cutesy. It's too cutesified. It looks like Donald Duck from like Disney Junior and not like actual Donald Duck.
That's what I was saying. That's what I'm saying.
Finally, in the early 2000s, we settled on a Donald Duck look that is perfection. This is all Papa could ask for. Look at this Donald Duck.
Yeah, this is the one that I know.
Iconic. It's the Donald Duck that we have to this very day. And there are all kinds of subtle changes that make this look fantastic. First and most foremost, his eyes. They did something very interesting with his eyes. Now, finally, for the first time, they settled them down into the beak. They're no longer complete ovals. Now they're kind of cut off a little bit by the beak of Donald and tighter together over the beak. And that
Which has
gives
got to be
a
easier
much,
for the actors.
much more friendlier face. His eye line is now way more focused for character interactions. And
I like this too because this way it's happy and welcoming, and yet at the same time, there's room for a little more personality than we got from the last couple.
Everything's a lot tighter. And we go back to that royal blue sailor outfit look.
Which is just
now,
better.
I don't know what we were trying to do with that powdered blue look. I'm so glad we went back to this. And the jacket was shortened a little bit, so we got a little bit more belly. Hey, I love Donald Duck in a belly shirt, all right? If he's not going to wear pants, let's embrace it.
Oh, yeah.
There is a little bit of a hint of blue in his eye now, a bit of a holdover from that last look. And honestly, I don't mind it. I don't mind like a light hint of blue in the eye, but I didn't need it to be a hard blue like it was last time. Honestly,
It differentiates from the fuzz.
perfection. I love his belly. I love his little duck belly and butt in the modern costume. It's so low. It's practically hovering over the knees of the performer inside the costume. That's how low the belly.
Well, it's the advantage of all that is it's more stuff you can move around. You know, it's basically a prop built into the costume.
Is on this thing, but that's great.
And it that adds movement. The fuzz adds movement. All these elements, they add more movement. So it's more eye catching. It allows you to add more character and personality to your movements that obviously you're not going to get from the face.
It's like it stretches out the body of the duck and makes it such a fun illusion. They got tricky with the duck build for the modern Donald. Previously, all of his duck mouths have just kind of been these flat,
those eyes are
protruding
too far
bills,
apart.
but now he has a little bit of a curvature to his mouth. He's kind of grinning. He looks like he's like happy in all of his photos, and that's some very, very tricky sculpting to make work perfect.
See, what I like about this kind of grin is if you turn far enough away, the character of the grin changes.
And they nailed it here. Now,
because it's here, mouth is happy, it's super happy, but if you go to the side, it's smiling all the way up. It's like he knows something.
Everyone knows and loves them. It's time for that sassy, articulated Donald Duck. In 2004, the Castle Show at the Magic Kingdom got all kinds of articulated characters, and this had a little bit of a change in the aesthetic of the costume, specifically in the plush of the fur used for Donald. Donald is way fuzzier than any other version in this articulated form, and it's because the head and all of the operating mechanics need lots of...
See what I mean? See what I mean? It's kind of there. It's kind of a different smile from the side than it is from the front.
Room and movement, and all of that plush fur helps fill in the space when the mouth and jaw and eyelids are opening and closing. If it was a short plush fur that we had on the normal walk around, you'd see a lot more moving on the head as it was talking. I love.
I love when they see. All it's gotta do is close the eyes up when you get all that sauce. I love it
Donald
so
doing
much.
the wackiest things. I love half-closed-eyed Donald
That
because
is the
it looks
best.
like he's just completely doubting
That's
anything
the
I have
best.
to say. I love it. I love it. I love it. Give me sassy, opinionated Donald any.
I love it. Because think about it. You're in the park, and like imagine you and whoever's with you is trying to have a conversation with the Donald, and someone's going like off on a little bit too much, and the Donald just like closes his eyes like that and like looks at you, gives a little head turn. You'll remember that for the rest of your life. That's pure magic right there.
Donald appears in any kind of stage show where you see Donald talking. From the Christmas stage show all the way through to the daily shows that they do in front of the castle, the Friendship Fantasy Fair. This is the Donald that you see anytime he's articulated. Now, dovetailing off of this super smart Donald head, in 2017, they rolled out a free roaming interactive Donald Duck for a playtest at Disneyland. And oh my gosh, look at this. What is going on? You could just walk up to Donald.
This is what I was talking about. I thought that's what it was for the previous one. I
just understood. With three of them, and there's no cameras or two-way mirrors or cast members helping behind the scenes. It's just those three performers interacting with you, and that would be wild. I despise that they got rid of articulated Donald
they can talk,
you can meet in the parks. It was ahead of its time. Maybe one day Talking Donald will come back to meet and greet opportunities in the park.
That would be
quite a thing to see.
I think it's more than necessary on one hand, but on the other hand, I love Disney Magic. It's something you don't have to wait in line as much for.
But he was literally in the park for hours. Just like hours, not even days. But very soon, we'll be diving into all of these sneaky, speaky secrets that these costume characters have, so keep your eye out on the channel. Did you know that Donald Duck is the mascot for the University of Oregon, or at least was until
I've known that
2010?
at some point.
I, in my research for this video, uncovered truly the most insane story I've ever read when it comes to Disney character licensing, and it involves Walt Disney, a duck named Puddles, unofficial handshakes, and a mascot getting into a fist fight. So, if you want to hear that story, it
Well,
requires its
awesome.
own separate video. So leave a comment, hashtag
Donald
Duck
Duck throws
down. Can you do a duck impression? Can you do the Donald thing? You gotta lay your tongue really flat across the roof of your mouth and try to like isolate the sound into your cheeks. My grandfather could do it all growing up, and so but I can't. I don't
I
have.
can kind of get there, I guess. My great-grandfather used to love doing that. I don't think his was actually that great, though. Don't let him know. I don't know if you can remember at this point. I don't know if he can remember that he used to do that all that point, but...
Have it perfected like the Donald, but I can kind of do it. This video is brought to you by Squarespace.
Talking like Donald, though, that would be an impressive thing.
Off clean feel.
The sounds are one thing. If you can actually talk like Donald, that's a whole, that's a career. That is a career if you can talk like Donald. Okay, I think it's at this point it's just advertisements left. If that's not the case, let me know in the comments, please. Like, comment, subscribe. We learned a little something today, tonight rather. Now to I'm behind on my strong bad email reactions.